Coach Jones. I'll get started. Starts off here, everybody. Ongoing series of public engagement. Senate here. Specific sectors as well as specific also sit down with major interests, constituencies, communities in the district. So it's our executive director. He's going to basic principles of motivator work by our edits and office of the class. See that. So, and welcome everybody. Really grateful to our meeting. We are recording. We are live. Four commissioners with us here. Williams, Jody Lane is live. Jody, feel free to jump in questions. And this is being streamed and recorded, and it'll be on our website. I know this is how many there is. We're only on our third one of these. I already think I am. I'm Nick Johnson, director of the commission. Pronouns, that's being here. As you know, every 10 years, the council and the mayor appoint 11-member commissions. Big overview of the DC tax system. Last commission was in 2015 and was on that one. Williams, and they advanced some pretty major changes. They have been adopted actually by the council and the mayor. So big shoes we're trying to fill. At the same time, a lot has changed in the last decade. The economy is different, the tax base is different. And so we have a big opportunity through this commission to rethink the tax system. Top to bottom, and propose to the mayor a set of recommendations that meet a set of principles that we have endorsed as a body. Principles of these first in terms of the process, making sure that our recommendations follow the data and are based on sound research. They are shaped by the experiences and the needs of people, and that they are devised collaboratively to ensure bold changes from a range of perspectives with attention is to in our recommendations, we would read as a body that we aim to achieve the following. One is broader, resilient tax base for this post-COVID economy. Protect against economic shifts and shocks and ensure future funding of high-quality public services, share tax burdens fairly. Number two, recommend progressivity and racial equity to eliminate racial disparities, protect low-income residents. Three, economic efficiency and competitiveness to advance growth and prosperity for all residents. Four, simple and open, fair administrative processes to reduce compliance burdens for businesses and businesses. So you all represent really important constituencies. Our job is really to hear from you today. This meeting and through the other options we're having engagement, learn what shifts you guys think can help us reach these goals. So what we're doing is over the course of last week, this week, and next week, we are convening about 10 meetings with various key stakeholders we think can bring various perspectives. We're also holding two next week on May 1st and May 4th, in person, virtual citywide. So you can join those. And again, our job is to listen and learn. We haven't ruled anything at this point in or our ideas, challenges we see us facing, changing economy. Some taxes hit hardest tax breaks that only benefited folks, challenges we face in the federal district. So, neighbors heard about the challenges of economic competition, neighbors, aspects of the tax code that reinforce racial equity, inequity, and just the complexity and difficulty of dealing with it. Now, these are not challenges that we directly lead to easy solutions. Some heard a lot about our policy options. Have been lists of policy options. Continue to do so as we go through. Continue to put out. This is not the last chance that you will over the summer and over the course of the fall, start to look at narrows. The goal is that by December, by the end of this calendar year, we will have so as we refine and develop the proposals for consideration, continue to post them on the website, talk about them. You know, we know we have a really hard job. Unlike the Tax Revision Commission, recommendations, growing revenues and budget surpluses, we're in a time of constrained revenues potentially. Many of the provisions enacted in the Tax Commission, DC revenue and budget surpluses. To do that, it's not entirely clear. Today's conversation is about learning from you. We're going to be having to answer questions that you might have about this and how we can do it better. But our main purpose is to collect ideas from you, so you're not going to hear a lot of ideas, even if you think you have them. You might hear us ask some probing questions. Too much to that. And so in a minute, we'll begin and each of you to just spend really 2 or 3 minutes sharing your name, your organization, affiliation, your pronouns, and then really a quick summary of your perspective you represent this table and your priorities or ideas. Thank you to several of you who submitted their testimony. So we'll go around and have that, and then we really have some conversation. We're not going to really stick. We don't have a bunch of questions. And then following up on this will be posted on the website with short thematic summaries of each of the meetings. Encourage you to participate in the Thanks so much for being here. Before I start going around, let me just see here. Annie.
I'm George. I appreciate being invited to space. But I guess my perspective is we all know that areas, housing, development, income, life expectancy, gaps, why huge. I think that next decade, the city on that like development.
I said 2 to 3 minutes.
All right.
There you go.
That's what I think the council.
That's what I figured you did.
A little bit of practice. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name's Ed Lazier. Action agency. Economic security. Wide range of this is the job training. Directly or tax credits and progressive taxes. We also understand that it's from both of those things, and it covered both of those here. So one of the things that we recommended to improve the equity of access to directly, enacting it's all an amazing thing. One year district should follow suit and enact its own tax credit. Support improving the earning of tax credit, which is reasonably strong in the district. Tweaking it, I guess, in a couple ways. One is the current requirement, current policy is that the EITC largely provided on a monthly basis, which people may prefer, and something may not, and requirements of other public benefits people are receiving. So we would recommend that EITC recipients have a choice of taking it as a or for that, it also encourages the district to make EITC fully accessible. Second recommendation is to include Schedule H, our property tax credit. Property taxes are high relative to income, targeted and potentially affected as needed relative to their income. The tax benefits relatively low, the tax very close. Said, I also know that a few years ago, I don't know if it's still true, PR was creating additional hurdles in Schedule H for people with adjusted income and demanding extra documentation, which is very hard to actually get their Schedule H. If they're still doing that, I would encourage them to stop that. Low AGI is not a here. So those are the recommendations around. So the other in terms of policies to support adequate grant and property tax, recommendations that we what just the evidence of what more adequate taxes years ago the council raised the amazing FTC. Those ends, we would support raising the higher marginal tax rate. Raising I support Michael Masseroff's testimony to eliminate our tax. Our best attempt to get around the ban on taxing non-resident income. A lot of business activity, very low rate business activity, different tax wise. Businesses, and other things, certainly taking steps to improve taxation well. Things like a higher capital gains tax rate, that the basis for capital gains. Some annual tax. And then finally, basing on itemized deductions. 5% of my income. We know that itemized deductions are Good afternoon, Mayor Williams and members of the Tax Revision Commission. My name is Chester Rabinowitz, and I'm a proud Ward 1 homeowner and the Senior Manager for Advocacy and Policy of Miriam's Kitchen. Miriam's Kitchen provides meals and services to our neighbors experiencing homelessness in DC. Our homeless street outreach team brings services and support to our neighbors living outside, and our housing team provides permanent supportive housing to over 300 people in the district. Our advocacy team works to push the DC Council and the Bowser administration to fund and implement policies that advance our shared goal of ending chronic homelessness. The origin of Miriam's Kitchen is actually a story about taxes. Miriam's Kitchen was founded to respond to a sudden increase in unsheltered homelessness in DC 40 years ago. This is the 40th anniversary. Often this is attributed to the transfer of same ease from federal to local governmental control, and that's certainly part of the story, but we often leave out the fact that in the 1980s, the Reagan administration gutted America's social safety net to offset spending pressures and pressures caused by the decision to cut taxes for the wealthy. This decision to balance the resulting budget deficits on the backs of our poorest neighbors led to a decrease in long-term housing and an increase in homelessness. I believe that the same tools, namely budgets and tax policy, can write the next chapter for Miriam's Kitchen in DC, one in which everyone pays their fair share and everyone has the housing and resources they need to thrive. Y'all have my written testimony, so I'm not going to read all of it, but I think we can all agree that the prevalence of homelessness in DC is a huge indicator of the tremendous income inequality in DC. For me, this was really exemplified by an eviction carried out by the Bowser administration of one of the NOMA encampments, just feet away from newly constructed high-rise buildings. We saw, within the same photo, the have-nots getting displaced and a person actually bulldozed, and the haves getting tax exemptions to build high-rise, high-density buildings that aren't actually meaningfully increase the long-term housing crisis. I'll share on a personal note that I think they often what folks say when they want to talk about increasing taxes is that people don't want to pay taxes. And I think that's not true. I know that one of the goals of this commission is to be rooted in data, and I encourage you to actually be rooted in data and not this threat of people who say they're going to move out of the district if there is taxes too high. My spouse and I, through no doing of ourselves, have come from wealth background and wealth privilege, and we are deciding to give away what feels to us a significant amount of our money to nonprofits doing work to address the needs of our poorest neighbors in DC, and we're happy to do that, but we would rather it be done through a just tax system. It shouldn't be me and my spouse sitting down to figure out what organizations we want to support. It should be the government fundamentally ensuring that people's wealth, not just their income, is taxed at a just level. And I know that I have many friends and colleagues who would happily pay more income in taxes if it meant that our neighbors could live with housing, could live with dignity, could live with healthcare. And I'll close by saying DC likes to think of ourselves as a model for the rest of the country. Instead of modeling how to evict encampments and maintain the highest homelessness percentage in the country, we could be a leader on how to utilize a tax justice framework rooted in equality and fairness. To be sure, this funding could be used to end homelessness, but that's only the iceberg. Societies with less extreme wealth disparity between the rich and the poor make everyone safer, healthier, and happier. And I think that's a DC where we all want to live. Thank you.
What did I just say? Good afternoon, members of the Tax Revision Commission. My name is Abby Safik. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Chief of Staff at everyone in DC, and also a Ward 6 resident. Thanks for this opportunity to provide a statement on behalf of everyone in DC. Founded in 1967, Everyone Home DC's mission is to support the holistic needs of individuals and families at risk of or experiencing homelessness. We envision the district as a thriving and diverse community where everyone has safe, affordable, and comfortable homes regardless of wealth or social status. To advance our mission, Everyone Home DC operates a day center, a street outreach program, homelessness prevention, rapid rehousing, and a permanent supportive housing program. In order to support the individuals and families we work alongside to achieve safe and stable housing, we must have robust and sustained investments from our government. To create an inclusive city where all people have access to safe housing, we collectively must address the root causes of homelessness, which require dismantling structural racism in every part of our system. The impact of redlining, racially restricted covenants, and segregation are still present today and glaringly obvious in our homeless services system. I think, well, specifically, like more than 85% of all people experiencing homelessness are Black, and then even like a more stark, like 93% of families experiencing homelessness are Black. So so really indicating that drivers of homelessness disproportionately. In order to end homelessness in DC, we must center racial equity in all of our solutions. This includes building a progressive tax structure that centers racial equity and raises revenue that allows DC to fund solutions proven to end homelessness. We support the Tax Revision Commission's guiding principle of progressivity and racial equity. It's our belief that our community is stronger when everyone has the safety and comfort of a home. If we build a tax system that allows our city to invest in people, we will have a city that thrives. We encourage the Commission to look at ways to thoughtfully increase taxes for our highest net worth neighbors, to generate revenue and invest in people for whom there is never enough. And this means asking households, businesses, and developers to pay their fair share, rather than asking our neighbors who are living outside in our shelters or who are precariously doubled up to continue to bear the burden of this problem that we as a society have been unwilling to solve. Failure to tap into DC's resources to raise revenue will perpetuate a racist system that accepts and allows some of our neighbors to live on the streets and in our shelters for years while they watch their neighbors' wealth grow exponentially. So we support tax policies that generate revenue that could be used to fund solutions to end homelessness and policies that increase cash flow for families living in poverty. The families we work alongside routinely struggle to pay for things like rent, and utilities, and food, toiletries, household supplies, toilet paper, and even like just going out and doing fun things together. So building a tax policy that allows families and children to have access to more money will really strengthen our city. And then, so we also know how to end homelessness in the district, and we have DC residents who care deeply about ending homelessness. So, like a smarter, fairer, more racially just tax code is how we can work together as a make this happen.
You want to share name, organization, community, rather than just a couple of minutes of work and then we'll I'm going to put you on the spot. This is the microphone folks are listening to streaming, so two chairs down.
I'm Rick Ruffin. I'm the director of policy since 1987. I've worked in vision and workforce adjustment president for housing and rights, as equal access to resources. Unfortunately, it's difficult for the vast majority of residents. So definitely all the comments of my colleagues here and highlight what we know is that is specifically becomes more unemployment, particularly for that much higher. We've seen publications in the last year about unaffordable DC is. We're in an affordability crisis. Here are saying that at least 27,000 residents and 9 out of 10 of those households are Black. Over the last decade or so, over 20,000 Black families. Meanwhile, in development, luxury properties have continued to grow. This remains very attractive. And number of people who live here continues to increase. So the narrative that, as Jesse pointed out, don't want to pay or can't pay, people leave the dollars. So that budget billions of dollars, yet each year still direct policy decisions made by executives um, that is also related to the and so while budget decisions for choices, progressive tax policy is critical to tax policy can't ignore the reality of what happens in time by time. It can't ignore the reality of how decisions made in these impact its ability to actually address the basic needs of the government. So definitely think that finding and using progressive tax policy to find ways to increase revenue, that should mean also making advantages, things that they're share, being support. So definitely the commission has to maintain an overarching equitable commitment to the people serving the most. And that means asserting those privileges as these priorities. So fundamentally, creating and preserving affordable housing and access to equity, it can't be consistently touted as a priority. The fundamental cause of
Thank you all for that. Questions?
Somebody asked about anti-racism.
well, actually, it's the opposite. Because I was thinking about that. I did ask. Part of that being
Okay, I can you
sticking them into it.
So we had worked for the city and many people with allies that DC can become the first anti-racist state that is extremely. And one of the first things people ask me when I talk about why I think DC is a racist city, I tell them that we believe systematically DC is a city, that your results really determine what you are, and you have lots of data like that. Income that whites have, black people have, white. Those are racist statistics. The racist outcomes. So whether no matter how liberal we all are in these, our outcomes are racist. Everybody I've talked to about this in the last couple of years, I'm in this reckoning how racist. Nobody had said, "Oh yeah, that's okay." We want to live. Everybody, no matter what sector they come from, education, government, we all agree. I don't know that the tax system is the only way. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not the only way. That every sector has a responsibility, including the nonprofit, to help these statistics go away, change it. And I think in a decade, we're all committed to what it takes fiscally, in terms of policies, in terms of practices, behaviors, all of our sectors come together, eliminating those disparities an anti-racist city. And depending on what space you're in, if you're in the tax space, that is the space where you can do your work. You can be progressive. You can have anti-racist policy around tax, vision, taxation. That's the space you hold. It's like I hold a space in the nonprofit space, and I'm trying to do everything I can in my organization to all of our work in the land, we don't have that obligation. Painful. All about, it's an old school concept, is breaking the cycle of poverty. Many studies suggest that when people we try to figure out all these problematic ways to help people get out of poverty. The bottom line is, if people have enough money, they figure the rest out of it. They figure out how to educate their children, feed them, house them, how to make sure they grow up private citizens. This body should commit to that goal, just like the other sector.
Once we have it, I don't think I would ever mention to the IRS, so I don't know if there is a good way. The second thing that we struggle with is that tax provides, for example, treat wealth differently are embedded in the federal income. Wealth transfers and stuff like this to district create additional are the only region that doesn't offer mortgage transactions. To what extent does that close? I don't know the answer, but I'm just kind of curious from all of you, if you have that what does it do with it?
Us off, but certainly shouldn't be the only one that talks. I mean, I think one of the things that we think about when we're approaching the tax code is that we're already providing housing subsidies to a tremendous amount of people in the country, right? But we're providing them to rich white people. In Matthew Desmond's work Evicted, he says that we spend $171 billion a year providing subsidies for wealthy people for like mortgage introductions, things like that. So I don't even know that we need to change the amount of money that we're generating. It's just we need to direct it in the right ways. The $171 billion could be enough to give every single person in the country who needs one affordable housing. Period. That's it. And I think Erica asked, what should this pot of money, like what are the big things that we need to address? And it has to be housing. Every year we go to the Wilson Building to advocate for a budget, and every council member says, yeah, I hear you, ending homelessness is my top priority, but we can't afford to do it. And that's just not true. So the council right now is operating with both hands tied behind their back, and the Tax Revision Commission has the opportunity to untie their hands and allow them to direct revenue in ways that are needed. So, I mean, right now the mayor's budget decreases the tax burden on developers to build high-density housing downtown that is not going to immediately address the affordable housing crisis. The mayor's budget has a deduction for the deed and recordation tax, which could be directed towards funding ending homelessness. So there are already things on the table, already things that we're doing to use the tax code, but it doesn't seem that the council has their hands tied behind the back when they're able to do things that benefit wealthy white people, but they're all of a sudden their hands become bound when the tax programs are meant to address the needs of our lowest income neighbors. So we're already doing it, right? We're just not directing it in the right way. And I would say we're going to do this with an equity approach. And I think there are ways to get race data. I don't think it's going to track perfectly, but when we were able to increase taxes on the highest income earners, we were able to see that 80% of those people were white. So maybe it's not the best data in the world, but I think we can guess that like most wealthy people in the city, most people making over $200,000 are white, and we know that's not a coincidence. And that's because our tax code is inherently racist and founded in a system of white supremacy. So we shouldn't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Maybe we're not going to know every single person's race, but like I think we can trust our gut to.
What would you say to the statistic? 2000, be off on the figures, but wrong. Let's say 2007, 7 billion. Now it's 20 billion. 80% of that is going to basically human services, education. that's good, isn't it?
I think it's a story of both and. DC is doing more than other jurisdictions to address the affordable housing crisis, and we're not doing nearly enough. 10,000 individuals pass through the home services system every year.
Let me finish. Okay, so that's good. 80% of that is paid by a small percentage of the population. So it's good that there is a part of the population that's paying that rate. Isn't that good?
I think it's great, and I think we can ask them to do even more.
Okay, yeah. Now, do you think that the current conditions facing the city economically, downtown, for example, you've got basically impairment of about 50% of the real estate, huge vacancy rates, blah, 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 blah. Commercial real property is a big part of the tax revenue to the district is down. Does that change any of our thinking? You think, should it change any of our thinking? Like, for example, should we have a moratorium on making new increases in taxes until we get out of the hole? Or what do you think? I want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I think, again, to reiterate that we already are changing the tax code. The mayor's budget fundamentally alters the tax code in at least two different ways. So it's important to note that we're okay altering the tax code when it benefits developers and businesses, not when it benefits.
Okay, so what do you think of the argument that it's indirectly benefit? Somebody's got to develop. The argument is somebody's got to develop. It's not like the development comes out of the sky. So somebody's got to develop. In order to develop, people do the development. They generate activity, generates taxes, 80% of which are going to what we want the government to do. Why is that bad?
I don't think it's bad that there's a tax base in DC, but I think when we address these urgent issues like housing, healthcare, food access, we'll actually have a stronger tax base where people are better able to contribute to the economy. We know that people experiencing homelessness pay taxes, and that when people are safe and thriving in a home, they spend more money. So it's not taking away; it's only going to add to the tax base in DC by addressing all of these urgent needs. And I just think that we talk about fairness, and I know that's I think one of the guiding principles. It's fundamentally not fair that there are people living outside at the same time as we're telling developers, here's a tax break so you can build more green housing. That's just not to me the definition of fairness. You talked about what do we do maybe really something economically, and I just feel like we do this for a long time with those arguments that they feel like every year you try to that's the arguments that's we can't do it with our neighbors. I think those aren't unimportant issues, but I shouldn't say that I don't think we should follow our neighbors. Saving for my kids to go to college, kind of what I got tax break, and go with that all that tax savings. That perpetuates and exacerbates. I would have saved for college, and I would have still lived in DC. As well, and even though more potential deduction might be limited for everybody, you certainly could say your income is X. We already do that. We phase out itemized deductions above $200,000. Said if you're above $500,000, not even more, you necessarily think, oh, I'm going to scam it.
The idea of but there is a that kind of member home to live And they do talk about doing. No, we're just starting to get a lot of
Walk the line. That's what you're knocking somebody back down so that the game is going on and the kids are going to be better off if they were whatever. Taking something off coming out of poverty.
I mean, fairness is something marriage. I just want to sort of explore inside.
Well, I don't like it. There are people who are well off, and they still worry about scarcity and all that stuff. It takes courage to do what we're talking about, and it's also not the only thing. Racism plays itself out in systems. In modern times, it's easy to talk about it when you have racism. The truth of the matter is, there really are people who are racist too, and to some degree, some of the things that Williams brought up that haven't worked, because you also have to deal with the fact that in housing, for instance, people still discriminate. Like, yeah, you can do stuff around taxes, you can do stuff to put money into things, but that's why when I started off with my remarks, we have to make everything anti-racist, because it's not going to work if it's just the government, just the taxes, because people will work around that really sort of make it ineffective. The other thing, so that's part of it. So yeah, you can ask these questions. I think Ed is alluding to. If somebody's got a $500,000 house and they're doing well, they might feel like they want to say something that is regressive, but that's maybe call it selfish. Just be sort of that's not for us to worry about. Those of us who are looking to make this anti-racist, we have to live with that. Some people just don't like the fact that we are fortunate to deal with what disparities for people who are way, apart from where they are. So, from a privileged platform, that's great to talk about. Oh, I wish I could buy more coffee down the street if you didn't. So, it was like tax me. The leaders are going to have to not, and they have to be courageous enough to say to that person, yeah, tough challenge, but we got a bigger challenge. Living on the street, anything, and it's just immoral for us not to fire. So, yeah, you got a thing, but I think you're going to be okay. Right? And I think we've got to deal with that. So all of our systems got to root out the racism, because one isn't just going to work, but you have to do it from where you are. So if you're in that tax space, you got to show courage. If you're the mayor, you got to show courage. If you're the nonprofit, you got to share and be anti-racist. You got to do what leadership has to be great. Do what we're talking about. But otherwise, we're going to live with these disparities and plan stuff out. And the only reason we can do that, by the way, is because of our privilege. That's the only reason we can live with them, because most of us wouldn't. If we were the people making decisions and living on the streets, we certainly wouldn't have any problem raising taxes and doing all it took to make us better. You can do that when you don't have a problem. So it takes courage to take on this problem that may just not be affecting you at all.
This is my other argument. Everyone's just saying we have this problem which everybody agrees we have. So we need to spend some more money to solve the problem. We've gone from $6 billion to $20 billion. The concentration of poverty hasn't changed. I'm not blaming you all. I'm not against spending more money, but where I come from, we should at least figure out what's going on. If we haven't made any change over $14 billion, somebody got to look under the hood.
I think we have made significant change. Right? DC has a marked decrease in family homelessness, which shows that when you fund housing a marked decrease in family homelessness, which shows that if you fund housing at scale, fewer people are homeless. DC, thanks to the tax code, will 3,000 people will exit homelessness, individuals will exit homelessness, and in the next 6 months, that is good. That is because of the tax code. So I don't know that I agree with the premise that we're not going in the right direction. I think we are, and I think that.
Well, the argument that one of your I thought it was a good argument. I don't know if I agree with it. It's a very good argument. It's that all you're doing is just fighting fire. You're not really. So basically, her argument is it's just been really costly to fight the fire. You still haven't gotten into better home management and fire prevention. You know what I mean? To use the analogy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we need to do both and, right? We need to address the people who are living outside and build a housing system that prevents people from entering into homelessness in the first place. We've gotten okay at the first part. We're like starting to see dividends being paid on our investments in housing prevents homelessness. We are woefully off track in our investments to prevent people from entering into homelessness and building a affordable housing system for people. But again, that's because it is expensive. Don't have the money to pay for it.
So add to this that we haven't made great strides. I absolutely agree with Jesse. But we've also not funded our homeless services response system in the way that it's designed to operate. So it's sort of like we can't. I don't think anyone would say like, oh yeah, we're funding it right, and it should be ending homelessness right now. Like we know we're not funding prevention at scale. No, we're not funding housing at scale. We're all really excited about the new investments that came online in FY22 and FY23. Cannot wait to see everyone move into their homes. But we need to do a lot more work on the front end, and that's not happening. And we need to continue with those housing investments. The other piece of this that I don't want to be lost is when we're talking about the large end homelessness, we're really focusing on homelessness, and I consider this like the bare minimum we need to be doing. Like this is like the ground floor bar. That's not touching poverty. So we're having people's basic needs are not being met. So what are we doing to actually invest and make sure that we're giving people like basic needs bare minimum, and then work from there.
I think this would really be, it's fine to be, I'd say to folks, housing is a proxy there for wealth. And if we don't have the appetite to deal with the real problem, which is wealth, yeah, okay, then housing is the next best thing. We really ought to fight the study after study shows people don't have enough money, they just don't do it. And we need to take our money and make sure that it's redistributed. They have a better shot, because I think that some community studies show that, even as the families, the head of the household, maybe kids in school, they graduate more frequently. I got 4 kids. I tell this story. I got 4 kids. They're nothing alike. So again, really credit parenting. They're all college graduates. They're very successful. The truth of the matter is, the only common denominator I can think of is my wife and I. They have a safe place to live. Plenty of food to eat. They never had to worry about being evicted. They were in safe environment. And that's what all those kids are here. We know intuitively that's really the secret. Not getting into poverty, staying out of poverty. It's living in these thriving communities. We ought to really think about that. Some of the limitations of you might notice, they are like built-in limitations within government structure that literally require you to stay poor just to get these benefits that we're paying. So sometimes we would ask, how come people still poor? Literally have policies that say, well, you can't get this stuff. One of them, around Medicaid and these sectors, you cannot have more than $2,000. Nobody gets out of poverty with $2,000. Just not going to do it. Somebody says to you, "I don't know who you are." You're helping to exploit. So we ask the question, why is it persistent? There are a lot of moves like that work really well to inspire them. So all they can do. Statistics, about $1 trillion our economy could get if we actually invested in people and helped them get out of poverty. Even if the
front end, the money went directly to them. We would actually see that money back. And so it isn't just about, in fact, it's not about charity at all, it's about justice. But this justice isn't just about what they have. When everybody does better, we all do better. And I think that's really true. This city is ever great. Right? Years ago, we did not have this. And now, right? That's universal. My kids were little, drove out of DC to go to park. Terrible. Now there's amazing parks with splash things, whatever, all over the city. Library rec centers have coverage. We've done a lot of really good things. That's a big difference in the risk package. Specifically, so we have not cracked this racial inequity. That doesn't mean about income. Or cash assistance program for kids, moving down assistance, provide $700 a month. Like, no wonder we have. Basic cash
Well, we're going to have a debate. I'm talking about services and quality of life. I mean, I would agree. Concentration of poverty has not improved.
I do want to say, don't say. 7 billion to 19 billion.
We can argue about the margin there.
Well, also our budget, I think that's, those aren't like inflation adjusted dollars. We have to do the compensation. So, very commercial property, that's like, I know that large commercial buildings, that's like 1% of the property tax. But it's a quarter of the value of your skin. And now this big, ginormous egg sitting in a basket. I think that we're going to see more fine values. I track this very closely. Like just 2 days ago, another conference that all neighborhoods from now, I worry that we're going to see a lot of banks. And the CFO has given us an alternative scenario that commercial markets that can boost down the revenue by another $250 million. So the lack of activity in actually eliminating any revenue that the city has relied upon. I understand that I think next year is going to be more challenged by filling in gaps that we haven't really experienced, like the last cancer and now we're looking at a sort of like economic crisis that's because of remote work. That kept us maybe before is actually. So where do you think it should go?
already suggested. I mean, I guess I can comment make is that I think the civic tax idea is more about maybe we get the low kind of gross receipts. all should have a stake in it. Investments in education, whatever, like what are the targeted investments we can do?
No, I was just curious. So we have this active like higher tax rate. Is that just any residential or just
So,
higher property? So that like in your ideal world, that's just
one thing I also want to last is just look at how it's very, very far better. I feel like that is the vision. There's just one indication of travel. So I wouldn't say that not that's proof that it's because of our tax system. It's an important one. Given that this issue of downtown suffering it's an issue. So I'm not say that necessarily or like succeeding if we're thinking about it.
we're gonna need incentives.
I guess I think of it more like a want out of downtown program. This is how it will work. So that's what Aaron,
Yeah, and building off of that, I think, right, we're already seeing like office resident conversion has been touted as like a good thing that's gonna revitalize downtown. And I think like I walk near there's a giant building on Connecticut Avenue that I walk past at home that is already undergoing office residential conversion with no tax incentive. There was a spread in Washingtonian magazine about like I forget 8 or 10 buildings that were undergoing office residential conversion without tax incentive. So I think this is similar to Ed's point about like he was going to save for his kids' college regardless. I think these developers are going to do this conversion regardless because that's where the money is. We shouldn't be giving them tax breaks. Maybe we should discuss giving them tax breaks, but I'm not convinced that now is the right time. I'd be curious to see how that plays out for a few years. And I think regardless, giving them a 20-year kind of deduction is just in contrast to how we treat poor people, have to recertify their income every 6 months. I would like to see something that if we're going to give hundreds of millions of dollars to developers or tens of millions of developers, they need to prove to us that they need it. They need to prove to us that that is the best way for DC to use their taxes because that's like we just got to treat people the same, right? It's not fair to make poor people have to prove their income when we're not making developers prove that they need these subsidies.
There's two tax abatements for residential conversion in the budget. Where would you tax abatement to support revitalization of downtown?
Open to permanent housing so that folks who are living outside downtown, which has the highest concentration of rental units, get the same income.
many places, but I mean, I would repeat that if they're all we want to say in strategies require some expenditures, but I think targeted, thoughtful expenditures that we actually think will make a difference in our benefit which also be improvements in transportation. Yeah, well, balancing, do we, need to
others. I think your time is very full.
Thank you all very much for your time. Thank you all for being here. Any closing thoughts?
But I'm not very glad. But as I was mentioning when we're doing budget advocacy, and we even broach the topic of taxes, the immediate response is the Tax Revision Commission. We can't make a decision. They're working, and we've already seen that that's tax changes are being made already. But it would be kind of helpful if for this body to say like, yes, we are working, and now it's budget season right now. We're making hard conversations around taxes, and it would be helpful if this body could say that the Tax Revision Commission is not going to have the results out by the end of this council's budget season. I don't think you're going to have your results in 3 weeks. So the fact that you're doing a deliberative process shouldn't preclude the council from looking at our tax code this budget season. I think that could be really helpful in our budget analysis, so we can kind of mitigate that immediate response if we can't even think about
There's
taxes.
no.
Great. Thank you very much.
I disagree with you, but I can worry about us saying it.
I think the idea.
Thank you all very much. Stay tuned. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.